Welcome, friends and enemies, to today's episode of What Even Is. In this video, we will have a closer look at Whimsigoth. What is Whimsigoth? Whimsigoth is one of those aesthetics that feels both familiar and strangely new. It sits in that space between gothic darkness and whimsical charm, weaving together moody mystery and dreamy playfulness. Imagine velvet skirts layered with lace, candlelight flickering beside stained glass, and tarot cards shuffled on a cluttered wooden table. This is the world of Whimsigoth. The aesthetic is often described as cozy witchcraft, the comforting warmth of fantasy with a hint of shadow. It blends the rebellion and edge of goth with a more enchanting, approachable mood. At its heart, Whimsigoth is about balance, shadow and glow, magic and the mundane, mystery and comfort. It's why a room draped in dark velvet still feels inviting when softened by fairy lights and winding plants. While the name Whimsigoth was only coined in 2020 by Alan Collins of the Consumer Aesthetics Research Institute, the style itself is far older. Its roots reach back to the late 1980s and 1990s, when popular culture embraced witches, gothic romance, and mystical symbolism. Nostalgic media like Charmed, Practical Magic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and even Sabrina the Teenage Witch captured the essence of everyday magic. Witchcraft not as horror, but as empowerment, individuality, and charm.
You know, I wanted to be a witch because that was the most fun, and the dripping black sleeves and everything, and the hat. You know, this all went with, this was a style I thought was just absolutely great.
The origins of Whimsigoth. The goth in Whimsigoth traces its lineage back to the Gothic revival of the 18th and 19th century. Architects revived medieval arches, stained glass, and ornate detailing, while writers like Mary Shelley, the Bronte sisters, which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, and Bram Stoker infused literature with suspense, isolation, and the supernatural. Gothic novels, filled with brooding castles and stormy landscapes, laid the groundwork for the moody imagination that still lingers in Whimsigoth today. The revival wasn't just architectural or literary, it was spiritual. The Victorian fascination with seances, tarot, and the occult transformed the Gothic into something mystical. What began as a fear of witches in the 17th century evolved into curiosity and fascination. By the 20th century, witchcraft and mystical practices were being reclaimed as sources of empowerment, particularly for women and outsiders. The cultural history paved the way for the late 20th century explosion of witch-inspired media. The satanic panic of the 1980s may have cast suspicion on anything remotely mystical, but in the 1990s, witches re-emerged in pop culture as complex, empowering figures rather than villains. The aesthetics of witchcraft, velvet, moons, candles, herbs, slipped seamlessly into fashion, film, and interior design. Out of the melting pot of Gothic revival, Victorian spirituality, and the 1990s witch culture, Whimsigoth was born. Whimsigoth in media and culture. If Whimsigoth had patron saints, Stevie Nicks and Kate Bush would stand at the altar. Stevie's flowing black outfits, dripping sleeves, and mystical presence in Fleetwood Mac earned her the title of original witchy woman. Kate Bush, with her ethereal voice and otherworldly stage presence, brought a dreamlike element to the aesthetic, with songs like Wuthering Heights anchoring her firmly in Gothic tradition. Television and cinema cemented Whimsigoth in the cultural imagination. Films like Practical Magic, The Craft, and Interview with a Vampire blended dark romance with mystical intrigue, while shows like Buffy and Charmed presented witchcraft as part of daily life. The witches of the 1990s were both fashionable and relatable, trading burlap cloaks for velvet skirts and chokers. But Whimsigoth isn't limited to witches, it also speaks to outsiders. The quirky individuality of Phoebe in Friends fits as easily into Whimsigoth as Willow Rosenberg's journey into witchcraft and Buffy. It is an aesthetic of the eccentric, the different, the imaginative dreamer who makes their own rules. Whimsigoth fashion. Fashion is perhaps the clearest expression of Whimsigoth. Its silhouettes are romantic and flowing, maxi skirts, bell sleeves, corset tops, and velvet coats. Jewel tones like emerald, ruby, and amethyst dominate the palette, always grounded by the deep blacks. The fabrics, velvet, lace, silk, chiffon, add layers of richness and texture. and accessories are essential. Chunky rings, moon pendants, chokers, and celestial motifs carry the symbolic heart of the style. NSU's 1990s designs, with their dark florals and gothic femininity, helped define Whimsigoth fashion, while icons like Stevie Nicks, Kate Bush, Liza Bonet, and later Florence Welch carried the aesthetic into the mainstream. What makes Whimsigoth fashion enduring is its practicality alongside its drama. Layering allows for comfort and individuality. The clothes feel magical without being unwearable. It's fashion that says you can be a witch on your way to work. Whimsigoth interiors. The home of a Whimsigoth is a sanctuary, both mystical and lifted. Interiors borrow heavily from Gothic revival drama. Arched windows, ornate ironwork, heavy drapery, yet softened with whimsical touches. Think dark wood furniture, patterned rugs, stained glass lamps, and shelves overflowing with books, crystals, and plants. Lighting is central. Candles, fairy lights, and warm-toned lamps turn shadow into atmosphere. Unlike minimalist styles, Whimsigoth decor is maximalist and personal. Every trinket, every draped fabric feels intentional, layered into a space that is moody but never cold. It's a room where a tarot reading could happen on a table while friends laugh over tea at another. Whimsigoth lifestyle. More than a look, Whimsigoth is a way of living. It values creativity, spirituality, and a sense of wonder. Many who identify with the aesthetic dabble in tarot, astrology, journaling, or spellwork. Not always as a strict belief, but as ways of finding meaning in daily life. DIY is another core principle. Thrifted clothing, handmade jewelry, and personalized decor all reflect a rejection of mass-produced sameness in favor of individuality. In this sense, Whimsigoth isn't just nostalgia for the 1990s witchy media, it's a lived philosophy of empowerment and authenticity. For many, the appeal lies in its inclusivity. Whimsigoth offers a place for the outsiders and dreamers, a way to reclaim what was once feared and turn it into beauty. It thrives in liminal spaces, inviting people to embrace both shadow and light, seriousness and playfulness. Whimsigoth and Autumn. No season embodies Whimsigoth quite like autumn. As the air grows crisp and leaves turn shades of amber, the aesthetic comes alive with its cozy candles, velvet layers, and jewel-toned palette. Autumn rituals, like hot drinks, rainy days indoors, reading slump days, and pumpkin patches, pair perfectly with Whimsigoth's magical mood. Social media has only amplified this seasonal connection. Platforms like TikTok and Pinterest revived Whimsigoth in the early 2020s, packaging it as the ultimate autumn aesthetic. Alongside related styles like witchcore, fairy crunch, dark academia, and woodland goth, Whimsigoth captured the cultural moment, offering a blend of nostalgia, empowerment, and the style that feels timeless, yet timely. Why Whimsigoth endures. Whimsigoth is more than a passing trend. It's a cultural echo, emerging from centuries of Gothic fascination and revived through the media of the 1990s. It thrives today because it speaks to something universal, the desire for magic in the everyday. It is Gothic but not bleak. It's whimsical but not frivolous. It's the flicker of candlelight on velvet curtains, the ringed hand shuffling tarot cards, the laughter of friends in a room filled with shadows and fairy lights. Ultimately, Whimsigoth endures because it allows us to be many things at once. Dark and light, mysterious and playful, outsiders and dreamers. It is an aesthetic that reminds us we don't have to choose between shadow and sparkle. We can live in both, all at once.